When it comes to level design, oh, how do I put this? Remember those giant play areas you'd go in as a kid full of exploration? That's Dook Nookum 3D. And remember there's usually that long straight slide that looks like it's gonna be one hell of a ride. But then you go down and soon realise that the whole thing doesn't really work properly, and halfway down you stop and really have to force yourself to get through the entire thing. That's Dook Forever. Dook 3D was full of secrets, random areas, shortcuts, and so much other juicy detail crammed into each level. In the very first level, you could find a jetpack. That happens in just the first of many first-person shooting adventure-packed levels. Dook Nookum Forever doesn't have jetpacks. Dook Nookum Forever doesn't even have secrets for the entire game, let alone the first level. At the very start of the game, if you go around exploring, Dook 3D gives you a jetpack. Forever gives you shit. A whole lot of fucking shit. You want to compare the two games? Well, there you have it. That's all, folks. All of it. Right there.
Red keycard required.
Keycard? I don't need no fucking keycard.
Excuse me, I gotta stop you there, Duke. Just checking out some of these reviews over here and yes! Yes, you fucking do! Arguably one of the best levels in the game is the strip club. Now I know, it's hardly even a level, in fact it's probably the smallest level in the game, yet it's one of the most fun and enjoyable. Now I'm hardly a qualified analyst of correlation and causation, and especially video game design, but this level offered the most exploration in the entire game, and I don't find that a coincidence. Oh no, nice try, you sneaky, slippery little bastards. I'm not falling for your game. You can add all the random minigames and environment interaction antics you want, but that's not gonna fool me. That's not gonna cover up this shaft-based level design. Not this time. Duke's superhuman resistance being caused by his own ego was a nice touch in Dook Nookum Forever, and since the game was made like a modern FPS, it was only fitting for the game to have regenerating confidence, the true source of infinite damage recovery in video games, and everything else. Where'd you think Deadpool's healing abilities kick in from? The guy makes Johnny Bravo look like a cartoon incarnation of a Minecon Q&A panel. Now that's confidence. Duke's done it again. He can add this one to his ever-long list of accolades. He's cracked the mystery to self-healing. Many a times do you hear people complain when they die too easily in online shooters. Their first excuse seems to be lag. They never even stop to consider that maybe they're just a sucker with no self-esteem. But back in the day of FPS, no amount of self-esteem could save you. You could be the most egotistical 250-pound Roddy Piper quoting machismo pop culture reference in all the West, but you'd still be mortal in the eyes of fixed health. You couldn't be no-cell Nukem back then. With non-linear levels like 3D, which Gearbox / 3D Realms / Triptych, if that's how you say it, it's time to get your developing asses into gear, so you're hopefully / gonna / really should / better fuck it / come on. Come on. Oh, come on, just do it next time! So fixed health would be more suitable in this case. An ego to the dangerously delusional size of Duke's appears to give him Wolverine-like healing powers. Because what even is strategy? Do I use my valuable portable medkit now or save it for a better opportunity? Do I go all out with the Ripper or shotgun to take out that room full of enemies? Or do I take the risk of getting slumped completely and go pistol only to preserve good ammo for stronger weapons? Wait! Never fear! Sponge Nukem is here to soak up damage and sit out for a few seconds. And he's all out of seconds because of the fucking load times. Just chill around for a bit and you'll be good to go. You dick kick 'em, you can no-sell all the damage you want. It's a generous 5 out of 10 FPS. Brain power not required.
What about the game, Duke? Was it any good?
Yeah, but after 12 fucking years, it should be.
You know, I remember hearing that line used in an advert for the game back in 2011. I thought to myself, man, wouldn't those guys look like pricks if the game flopped? I tell you, oh jeez. If you're not familiar with the Dook Nookum series, let's just say they ended up looking like pricks. But I guarantee that line Duke pulls out at the start of the game would have a lot more credibility if they didn't add all of these gimmicks into the gameplay. I'm talking about the driving, the turrets, the basic yet awkward puzzles, the platforming, and oh dear god, the platforming! The level design in 3D was so varied, there was never a need for a gimmick. The levels on their own were like a puzzle in itself that you had to unravel. The keycards, finding out where to go next, or even looking for Easter eggs and references that are scattered in every corner of the game. People look back on 3D with fond nostalgia because it brought something fresh. The only thing Forever brought that was fresh were these gimmicks. And come on, do you really see people looking back on Duke Forever like, oh sweet baby Duke, those driving segments, that was some spicy shit. If you want to add new things to stir up the pot of gameplay you have going, that's all fine. It's completely fine. I mean, the original trailer for the game had loads of stuff like that. It's all good. Just don't force them into your game and make it all feel like filler to make the game seem longer. Don't drag it out. Look, just don't make it feel like you found loads of work done in 2001, ripped off an old 3D Realms developer's hard drive, and inserted them into the game without it being finished. With the graphics and all, even though I'm not a big graphics guy, I can admit they're not the best here, especially a lot of these textures. And I understand, the game started being made in the 90s. I knew going into it the end result Gearbox would come out with isn't going to be the sharpest suit they hit the town with. But this time round, with a new game, there is no 12-year excuse for this. In the end, graphics are just graphics. That's fine. To me, it's one of the least important things in a game. I'll take style over flawless graphics any day, but the load times this long are just taking the piss. Especially when it's taken so long for so little. It's almost insulting. These load times may as well take my lunch money and Batista bomb my nan for a table right now. Actually, now that you mention it, when you have something with the graphics of a high-end PlayStation 2 game that's based on concepts from 2001, how in the ever-living fuck do load screens last a damn near minute in 2011? And tell me this, when you have textures this plain, what kind of excuse can you pull out to explain how in the hell they take so long to pop in? I understand it was a special case when it came to finishing the game. It wasn't business as usual for those involved with the end product. I mean, let's face it, the game's existence is a miracle. But damn it! I shall have no more excuses! No more, Gearbox! You've made stable games in the past, and I know you can do it again. Do it. Do it for Duke. It's not all doom and gloom with Dook Nookum Forever. In fact, there's no doom. No doom at all. Something Duke did retain from the last game was the interactive objects you can use in the levels. They actually did introduce some fresh ideas for this aspect, with a lot of these things being straight up minigames and ended up being a lot more interactive compared to Duke 3D. That strip club level was, appropriately, full of interaction, roaming around the place looking for things to boost your ego bar, like the slot machines, arcade games, and air hockey with controls stiffer than the fucking dildo you found earlier in the level. Look, with this interaction, I like what you're going for here, but next time rounds, whoever's in charge of this, go read a goddamn book, go listen to a fucking lecture, just do something, just anything, to at least understand the definition of physics. Anything that involves throwing an item to air hockey, to the pinball, like, come fucking on, how do you fuck up pinball? Fucking pinball! Even Sega didn't fuck up pinball. Get your shit together. Throughout this list, many of the problems I go on about can be summed up as the developers taking way too much of an inspiration from generic FPS games, watering down everything that made Dook Nookum, Duke fucking Nukem. It was necessary for Duke to adapt and evolve with the times, but not like this. Not like this! This kind of evolution is what leads to natural selection leaving Duke behind. They took inspiration from the likes of Halo, Call of Duty, and Battlefield when no, it's all wrong! All of it! All of that inspiration should be coming from games like Metroid Prime. Now I know, they're not that similar at all really, but it's still a game that not only exemplifies a successful jump into the next generation, but also the non-linear areas that Duke Nukem should still be based on. Duke 3D was what FPS games wanted to be. Forever just wants to be like other FPS games. And the trait of other first-person shooters in this modern era is limiting the player to 2 weapons, which, to be fair, works in many cases. Duke Nukem though? Treason. Treason to the king of FPS! This right here! This kind of shit right here would never translate well in any shape or form to Duke. Duke's meant to be the one-man army that he's made out to be. He is every action hero stereotype compiled into a manly, juiced-up manlet. It only makes sense that he keeps hold of every destructive instrument he finds. The guy benches 600-pound free weights, without anyone even spotting him. I think carrying more than 2 weapons isn't gonna make him sink into the ground. The start of the game showcases his own Batcave. He's in talks with the president and the military leader of the entire damn planet. He's more armed than the entire fucking Middle East. Why in the hell is he only using 2 weapons at a time? When you run into boss fights, the only weapon that deals good damage would be the RPG, so you're left with 1 slot for a standard weapon a lot of times. Even the boot was ruined. The mighty foot, the mightiest of foots, was put down, reduced to a flashy QuickTime event. Think back to Forever. I know, it's difficult, just ease your mind into it. What items did they have? They had steroids. Oh yeah, you know Big Daddy Duke's gotta be juiced up if he's gonna take down those alien bastards for shooting up his ride. And there's Duke Vision. Sometimes the shades just don't cut it and you need an upgrade, it's completely understandable. And we've got Hollow Dukes. Duke needs the stealth options available. I mean, he's a big guy, he must weigh like, what, 250, 260 pounds? So it's nice that they brought back the old classic items from Duke 3D, but even so, they're all from 3D. What did they add to liven things up? To give the players an item to look forward to getting, to raise the bars once more. There was beer and there was... Okay, fucking screw this. I'm not even gonna try and pretend that there's any more stuff added. It's only fitting seeing as they're not even gonna try at all. There's really no new items to introduce. The next time a Duke game sees the light of day again, if at all, that needs to change. All of these items from 3D, that was all new for the franchise. These few items in Forever are just riding on nostalgia. Really though, I think I may be asking for way too much here. There's barely even all the items from 3D in the first place. So how could there be an investment into anything fresh? The biggest travesty of all, the jetpack is nowhere to be seen, unless enough people are actually lurking in the depths of what this game has recognised and accepted as a multiplayer mode. What I myself like to call hell in 5 frames per second, because that's the only place you're gonna find it. Alright, I'm overreacting, why do I even care? Why do I even care if there's a jetpack in Forever? Let's face it, it doesn't matter, because really, what the hell's a jetpack gonna accomplish? You gonna fly through the levels? Yeah, sure, throwing a bowling ball has more direction than this level design, go ahead. You gonna look for hidden areas? Sure, go ahead with that as well. I gotta give them props, they did a good job fucking hiding them! And aside from a jetpack being practically useless for how the game's designed, it wouldn't be a secret. It wouldn't be a privilege the game's offered you for your skill in reaching hidden areas, or being able to look up a let's play. It'd probably be handed to you like it's nothing special. Like really, I'll tell you how it would have happened. Duke would be in his manor and visits the Duke Cave, just like how the actual game goes down. But remember those fangirls around Duke's casino or manor or whatever 12-year-old cocoon he was hiding in? This time he randomly runs into one of his stalker fangirls who broke into his armory and has hold of one of his solid gold jetpacks, as Duke whips out an underwhelming one-liner like, "It's time to get high," or "Hand over the jetpack and Duke will get you into the Mile High Club." Oh, I should probably tell you, it'd only be available for a badly controlled flying minigame, and you'd have to drop half your items and throw shit at the wall to hold the damn thing. Come talk to me about jetpacks in Forever, and maybe you can use it to fly over any segment of the game involving wheels. This goes back to what I was saying about making the game actually stable. Because this multiplayer I like to call hell in 5 frames per second wasn't me exaggerating. No, really. From what I can remember at least. What do I know? Maybe they fixed it up since 2011. But come on, there's more chance of people actually online on this game outside of 2011 than that happening. You can't wipe out the plague with a day 1 patch. As if the game had loading issues on its own, then you go and throw lag into the mix. It's just evil. Pure evil. Alright, that's how it's gonna be. These textures aren't coming in anytime soon. Duke's more likely to pop out of your screen and tuck you in for bed while reading you the entire New Testament of the Bible before this shit pops in. I've got to give it some credit though, because the digs is an interesting concept, and really the best thing about it all was the recreations of Duke 3D levels for maps, because that's one hell of an idea. Giving players the illusion of being in a good game. I really want this to work, because Duke multiplayer executed well enough would be pure chaos. Anarchy would ensue, and hijinks would be had with all of the weird weapons and areas the series could offer, to spice up the online FPS market filled with generic soldiers, generic space soldiers, and a weird in-between mixture of the two that makes you think they've changed a lot but it's near enough the exact same formula. The last wish for the redemption of the Dook Nookum franchise is going to be vague. However, it's going to sum up everything that explains why Forever failed in just a single word. You see, Forever carried itself from nostalgia and trying to be like other FPS games, but didn't add anything new. Anything new that actually functioned and wasn't just throwing shit at the wall till anything sticks. Now, Forever isn't completely bad, especially if you're a fan of Duke. It's just painfully average. Especially considering this is Dook fucking Nookum! Look at the difference between Duke 3D and the original games. You know what that difference was made up of? Innovation. They need to be innovative while making sure everything new actually works. because that's what made Dook 3D the game it was. Sure, a bit of nostalgia is nice, especially for the decade of hype this game has given. But Gearbox or whoever the hell is gonna make the next Dook game needs to realise that if it weren't for innovation in the first place, there would be no nostalgia there to carry your entire game. And once that nostalgia's all used up, you're left with nothing. Nothing except the shell of Dook's former self. Even if it means the next game would be more like an indie or Xbox arcade title, I wouldn't be surprised if the game turned out better that way. In fact, I'd probably prefer it that way as a modern retro FPS. They need to realise that they can't dwell too much on nostalgia and emphasise on innovating to create nostalgia for the future once again, just like Dook 3D did. Looks like I need one last thing. Top 9 doesn't quite have the same ring to it, so you know what that last thing is? Megadeth made a soundtrack to Dook once, so how about another one? Megadeth, I appreciate that. Don't ever play yourself, just play those tasty riffs. Yeah, seriously though, have Megadeth make the music again. Because fuck it. Who could forget the CDI Punch-Out game where Little Mac goes around the locker room refilling everyone's drinks? Yes, Sandman, get hydrated, bitch! What about the CDI Final Fantasy VII sequel where Cloud does Sephiroth's quarterly taxes? Or how about the God of War trilogy of Kratos giving Zeus an oiled up back massage? Aside from Hotel Mario, however.